Kathrine, thank you for joining. This is such an exciting time, an exciting week. How are you feeling right now?
Oh gosh, it's Boston Marathon week. What can I tell you? I mean, it's just the time of reunion, the time of athleticism, the time of, well, for me and 261 Fearless, it's a time of women power because, this marks a very big turning point in women's history, not just running history, but women's social history. And the incident that happened in 1967, which I know we're going to talk about, was a turning point for all of us. And it's come out beautifully.
You kind of said it there, but there is just so much that we have to talk about. There's so much that you have done. And first, I want to start by saying thank you. And I say thank you because what you have done for the sport, but also what you continue to do with 261 Fearless. A lot of people, could have said, I did this, that's my legacy, and that's what that's going to be. But you have really taken it into your own hands to create a better future for the sport and for women across the globe. So first and foremost, thank you for all that you've done.
Thank you, Hannah. But you also need to thank my mom and dad, because when I was a very young girl, my dad always said, honey, when you start something, you've got to finish it. Mm-hmm. And also that in life, you need to pass on. Meaning, when something good happens to you, it's kind of your moral obligation to pass it on. And this was just so clear. And it changed my life, and therefore I knew it was going to change other women's lives. And it has had such a positive outcome. So I'm just very, very grateful to have the opportunity.
So, your life changed in 1967 when you were the first woman to run the Boston Marathon with an official bib number. But what got you into running before that? Because you don't show up on marathon day and decide to run 26.2 miles. There has to be a love and a passion for the sport before that.
Yes, it's a long story, but I'll quickly tell it, which is that my dad was actually the guy who started me running. I wanted to be a high school cheerleader, and he said, no, cheerleaders cheer for other people. You want people to cheer for you, and your school has something called a field hockey team. I was only 12, and I was going into a big high school. He could see that I was insecure and needed something to kind of be my own. Anyway, he said, run a mile a day and you'll be the best person on the team. And I went out and ran the mile, and I was so excited because I didn't think I could even do 1 mile. And he said, that's great. Now you do it every day.
You're like, great.
Yeah. And I fell in love, not just with the running, but the sense of empowerment and freedom it gave me. And I wanted every little girl to feel like I felt. But they all thought I was crazy, that I was going to turn into a man and, and bad things would happen to me. The myths were ridiculous. And, the body never lies. And I knew even then that if it felt this good and I was feeling this strong, that it had to be right. So that was my early start. And, 1 mile became 3, became 5, became 10. And then at Syracuse University, I met the university mailman who was 50. He was ancient, I was 19. And he had run the Boston Marathon 15 times. And he took me under his wing and regaled me with stories about Boston. And I told him I just had to run it. So I did it in practice because he said I had to prove it to him that I could do the distance. He didn't believe any woman could ever do it. And when we did do it, he passed out at the end of the workout. We actually ran 31 miles. I wanted to make sure that no matter what, I could finish Boston. And then he said, now you have to officially enter. He said, this is serious, and you've got to pay your $2 entry fee and to fill out all the forms, because I was a card-carrying member of the Athletic Federation. Mm-hmm. And then we all know the story. What happened is that I signed my name with my initials. My dad misspelled my name on my birth certificate. It just got so confusing. I just started signing my name at 12 as KV Switzer. And when I signed the entry form that way, the officials thought K was from a man. They issued my bib number the morning of the race. It was snowing and sleeting. My coach picked up the bib numbers for the whole team because we were waiting in the car. Came out to the car. We pinned on our bib numbers. We went out and warmed up. All the men out there were great to me. Mm-hmm. They knew I was a woman. I wasn't hiding anything, although I guess my good luck, it was a horrible day, sleeting and snowing. And I had on a heavy gray warm-up suit, and I was going to take it off for the race, but it was so cold I left it on. We all wore just everything we had. So I wonder often if I had been in my shorts and t-shirt, if the officials would have spotted me at the finish line and the starting line and pulled me out then. But that didn't happen. And then at 1.5 miles, the press truck went by and Jock Semple, the race director, just lost his temper. And he couldn't believe there was a woman in his race wearing a bib number. And he thought this was in clear violation of all rules, which were never written anywhere, believe me. And he just jumped off the press bus, went after me and attacked me and tried to pull me out of the race and rip off my bib numbers and was cursing at me, get the hell out of my race and give me those numbers. And it was a terrible moment, really, because he surprised me. And, I was really frightened. And I thought I'd screwed up this big race, for everybody somehow. And it was happening right in front of the press truck. So they were taking pictures of everything. And then my boyfriend came with a flying cross body block and took out Jock Semple, the race director, and knocked him off to the side of the road. And my little coach Arnie screamed, "Run like hell!" And down the street we went. And when I tell this story, it's funny because the boyfriend saves the girlfriend, and the old curmudgeon official is knocked down. But it was a terrible, terrible moment for me because I was very young. I was just 20, and I was really scared and embarrassed. And I felt very small and humiliated because the press truck just kept hounding me. When are you going to quit? And I said, to Arnie, I said, I can't quit because everybody says that about women, that they get barged into places they're not welcome and can't do it. I know I can do it. We ran 31 miles last week. And so that's when I said to him, Arnie, I don't know where you stand in this, but I'm going to finish this race on my hands and my knees if I have to, because everybody says women can't do it. I have to finish this race. So, I look back at that girl at 20 making that decision, and I think, damn girl, you were really tough. It was,
yes.
and that's what running does. It gives you the resolution, the determination, and the persistence, and the sense of empowerment, that you deserve to be there, that you belong, and you can do it. So
it's such an incredible story. And thank you for sharing that, because you know what, when you also explain that a marathon's 26.2 miles. And when that happens so early on and you're shaken up and you're all of a sudden doing this thing that you've never officially done before, right? You've accomplished it in your own life, but now you have eyes on you and there's this added pressure. What has to happen kind of between the ears, right? In the remaining 25 miles or whatever it may be, that's a lot. And that's what I hear you saying is really that you took it from being like, I'm doing this for me to, show up and run my first marathon, to I'm doing this for something bigger than me. And to come to that realization, Kathrine, while you're ready to marathon, good for you.
It is amazing that I came to that resolution, but I'll tell you something that really is important is that preparedness prevents intimidation. Remember, your coaches always told you that? It's really true. I ran 31 miles in snow and sleet in Syracuse. And if I could do that there, I could certainly do it 26 in the Boston Marathon. So I had the confidence that I could finish. And I also had the support of the runners. The guys were wonderful to me. Go forward. I wish my wife would run. I wish my girlfriend would run. Very few of them were antagonistic. Spectators, of course, was another issue. But because it was such a lousy day, there were very few spectators. So, but it's also, you go through a lifetime when you run a marathon, that, and anybody who does knows that. And long about, Heartbreak Hill, when you're on fumes anyway, I got to thinking about old Jock Semple attacking me in the race, and I had murdered him every way a person could be murdered by that time. And then I suddenly thought, oh my gosh, he's just a product of his time. That's all he understands. So, it's up to women like me to change his mind. And that's when I said, okay, if I become a better athlete, that was one thing that will convince Jock. And I did. I actually became a world ranked runner, which is astonishing. It was amazing. The human body is astonishing. But the bigger thing was then a few more miles later, I got really angry at women. And I said, why don't they get it? Why aren't they out here? What's wrong with women? And then I realized, oh my God, Kathrine, they haven't had an opportunity. They haven't had an opportunity to prove otherwise. And that's what I need to give them. And I didn't know what that looked like. I could see what being a better athlete looked like. And I did that first. But when I crossed the finish line, I said, everybody said, oh, didn't you feel euphoric? And I said, no, I felt really responsible. I felt like I had a lot of work ahead of me. But I didn't know what it looked like until I realized that I could create the opportunity for women to put one foot in front of the other. And then I eventually did that by creating a global series of women's only races. They eventually got the women's marathon in the Olympic Games. So it was an amazing, amazing moment, and an amazing kind of story, how it played out in my lifetime.
Absolutely.
But it's far from over. And one of the most exciting things right now is that women, even in the marathon, are beginning to reach 50-50. And when you look at the last 30 years, we've leapt like 3,000 years of athletic limitation. I mean, it has been phenomenal, and it's a great time to be a girl or a woman and to see this exciting future ahead of us. Amazing.
Absolutely. And I'm not going to let it slide with just one sentence there, that you helped create the Avon International Running Circuit, global women's races across the world to create opportunities for women. You were a huge trailblazer in bringing the Olympic marathon to women. Those are things, Kathrine, that I think when people hear your name, it's the Boston Marathon, and then they see what you've been able to do. And you didn't stop there. You have co-founded 261 Fearless. And I'm going to bring in Edith here, who's your co-founder of this nonprofit, which continues the mission. And what I love about 261 Fearless and what both of you are doing is that it's not just for the world ranked runners. You're reaching out to the women who are looking for running to transform their lives every single day. And that's what we're going to see on Monday too, right? Like, that is what the Boston Marathon is all about. You have the elites, which are phenomenal, but you have the everyday runner who's out there proving something to themselves, standing up for something they believe in. And so, Edith, welcome to the conversation. We're so happy to have you from Austria.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So first, tell me how you two got connected and how this brainchild came to be.
Yeah, it happened in Vienna. So Kathrine came to Vienna to receive the Austrian Women's Award, and I volunteered at this event, and I was chosen to take care of the VIPs and got the honor to spend time with Kathrine, and that's how we met and became friends. And over the years, through conversations and also a lot of runnings and discussions, we came to the point to say, okay, we want to start an organization that helps women to take the first running steps in a safe environment, supportive environment, where they are not judged, where there is no competition. It's just the joy of running.
Mm-hmm. And the name 261 Fearless, 261 is the bib number that Kathrine, you wore. There it is. There it is.
That's where Jock got the corner on the back, right?
Oh, wow.
And now it becomes this number.
That's incredible.
Isn't that incredible?
That's incredible. And so what is that number? I know that, it held so much for you, Kathrine, of being your bib number. But Edith, what did you see in that? And what did that number begin to represent to you?
Well, it was, first of all, I read Kathrine's book. I knew her story and was also very inspired by what she has achieved. And so we talked a lot about 261, and she shared with me that women come to her and telling her how inspiring and also encouraging this number and this story is. Mm-hmm. And they said, Kathrine, right, it makes them fearless. So they inked it and even tattooed it and wrote it on their bib numbers and so on. And at the same time, I had the idea to form a community for women where it is not about pace or distance or speed, just to help them, as I said before, taking the first running steps. And I knew from myself, and also Kathrine proved it, and many, many other women or people actually proved it also so well that running can transform lives, and it can make you fearless. It can make you proud, create self-esteem, but especially for women, it helps you to build fearlessness, face the fear, and do it anyway.
Mhm.
And so we combine these two things and said, okay, let's call this organization 261 because we want to empower women. We want to give them the opportunity to have this 261 moment. That's how we call it, that Kathrine experienced in the Boston Marathon in 1967. And actually every woman has this moment in her life where you need to stand up for yourself and say, okay, I'm so anxious to do that. There are so many barriers, so many hurdles, but I want to do it. This is what I'm fighting for, and I'm gonna overcome this, and I'm gonna be fearless. And running can really foster this encouragement that you do it. And even if all the people around you say you are not able to achieve this goal, do it. Because when you run, you build up confidence, your body gets stronger, your mind gets stronger, and you start believing in yourself. Because when you ran this mile, you can do probably 2 miles or even more. And then you go back home and you face all the other challenges you have in your daily life. And you can say, okay, I did this, therefore I can do all the other things as well.
So, you look at this, and running is so transformative, like you said, right? You're going to take that and you're going to be able to tackle so many other things in your daily life. But another thing I want to tap into there is the power of community and women supporting women, and having a community that's not going to judge you to say, hey, I have to walk this first mile. Maybe I'll run the last 10 steps and build up that way. So as you both have built this global community, how have you seen the community come together and grow? And it has grown. So what is it about that is so important to all that you do?
When our group, the group of women come together and they form a very interesting bond and almost a chemistry of trust, belief in each other, no judgment. You can say anything and it stays there. It is really quite phenomenal. I just, unfortunately, late last night got a message that one of my team members in New Zealand had lost her son in a motorcycle accident just last night. And we're not as devastated as she is, certainly, but we are all devastated. But she came to us first with this news. And she knew immediately we would be there. Oh, going over to her house, helping her clean her house, doing her cooking for her. She's got a million things that she can't cope with, but we're there for her. And it's quite amazing that just came from a run group every Saturday morning.
Wow. I got chills when you said that. And it's so true, right? You step up and you form this bond with people, and it's almost indescribable, right? Of what happens on those runs, and when you have people that believe in you.
So it is incredible what sports and particularly running can do, because you do this together. It's easy accessible. And interestingly, especially women tend to start something new when they first show up with a friend, or if they're anxious, that they know that there is a safe community, that there are just women and they're thinking similarly. But interestingly, we have group where we have women age 18 to 75, and they run together and they form bonds, exchange. So the older learn from the younger and vice versa, but also ethnically, so that it doesn't matter what skin color you have, what you believe you have, what's your background, what's your size. It doesn't matter. Everybody is welcome, and you just forget that. It's just a wonderful person next to you, and you support each other. And it can, what I've seen around the globe is, especially when somebody comes into this community, you're hesitant, but then you feel the sense of belonging. And especially for people or women who are refugees, they needed to flee from their homes, and suddenly they're in a new country, there is a new language. And running is universal, and suddenly you can connect, you can start talking with somebody, and nobody cares if you use the right grammar or the right terms. You just talk with your body and try best, and the other one so much appreciates that. And our community is currently in 14 countries. And what I've seen over the last few years is that the women suddenly become curious. Oh, who are the women over there in Chile or in New Zealand or in the United States or in Austria? So wonderful friendships came out of this. And just also sharing just a recent story, because one of the coaches from the UK made friends with one of our coaches here in Austria, because she wanted to learn German and vice versa. And so she came last week to Austria, and our women welcomed her, and the meet run, instead of 1 hour, got to the 90 minutes because everybody was so excited about that. And that's what it is about. It's running is the vehicle, but there's much, much more around it. It's from the support in very difficult hours to curiosity, to learning something about new cultures, and breaking also down the barriers of cultural hurdles.
I love all of this. And Monday, Edith, you were telling me that 27 women will be running the Boston Marathon with 261 on their shirts. What is it going to be like for both of you to witness that, all of this work, this global connection on the course from Hopkinton to Boston Monday?
All I feel, and we have experienced this over the last few years, and we're so grateful for all the support we get from the Boston Athletics Association. This is not granted and very special for us, because it helps us to move forward with our program, help more and more women to get access to education programs, to become women coaches, and help other women in their local communities. So all I feel is gratefulness so that there is the opportunity to have this race, but also having these amazing people on the start line and support them to have the best day of their life.
On race day, Edith and I kind of divide the responsibilities. So she's out there getting the team on the bus and getting them to the start line, where we have another team to help them get to the actual start line. And then she's out in cheering sections, cheering them, rain, shine, whatever is going on. I'm back at the finish line. And I'm working, I have the cushy job. I get to be in the VIP sponsor area, but it's very important for me to be there for the very reasons Edith said. The Boston Athletic Association is very, very important to us. And we cannot thank them enough for being one of the charity programs, because this is huge for our income to create the coaching programs and the educational programs, but also just a chance for me to spread the word among other sponsors and other influencers, if you will, who were there, and just to tell them, they always say, hey, how's the 261 going? And I'll say, hey, we're in 9 countries. And then this year I say, hey, we're in 14 countries. It's really good to let them know some of the other stuff that's going on. And it's powerful. So we make a good team.
What are you most looking forward to this weekend? We talk about, Edith, you come in Wednesday, Kathrine, Thursday. It's a weekend packed with so many things, culminating on Monday with the big celebration of the 26.2 mile run. But what are you most looking forward to? Kathrine, we'll start with you.
Yeah, it's funny, you say, oh, you're most looking forward to the elite race. Well, not really so much. I know it's a fabulous, fabulous race. It's one of the best races in the world. I've done the broadcast of the race for 42 years in a row. I finally retired in 2018. I think what is amazing, and when you look at the elite race, is to look at the many, many countries that are represented, particularly for women now, when you see women, especially from the African continent, to see the opportunities they now have that they would never have otherwise had, and that they're becoming superstars, global superstars. Really, really, that's terrific. But in my heart of hearts, what I love the most is I love meeting my 261 team. You know, I get there and it's not just meeting Edith, but yes, you know, women who were there from the get-go to get the organization going, and to meet the women who are on that charity team, because they're going to take it forward. You know, I'm 77 years old and I'm not going to be around forever. So these are the women that are going to be leading the organization and see it through to it being the massive global transformation that I think it's going to be.
I'm looking forward to see all the women of the 261 Club New England. So we have an amazing organization that does the work in the Massachusetts, Rhode Island, and New Hampshire area, and meeting them, going out for a run with them, exchanging with them. That's always one of the big highlights for me as well. So in New England, we have 7 groups where women can join. So that's also a big celebration. And also people from mainly the United States get into the city, and we have a 261 gathering and seeing this community and exchange with them, laugh with them, run with them. That's quite a highlight. So I'm really looking forward to that.
I will say that I had the opportunity when I first met Kathrine was at the Boston 10K for women earlier, or in 2023. And you were with all of those 261 fearless New England ladies. And it was like early in the morning and they brought the energy. They were excited to be there. They were so welcoming. It truly was. I mean, I think it was just a glimpse inside of all that you guys do, but it was really remarkable to see that energy that day. So we're wrapping up here. I ask everyone this question. Do you have a mantra that you lean on tough days to get through life, to get through a hard run, a hard workout, anything like that?
Sure. It's the same one I've always had. When I get out there and the going is really tough, I say, you know what? You're the luckiest woman in the whole world. You chose this and you can do it, and you're out here. You've chosen to do this, and it is the best thing that's ever happened in your life. So get going.
I love that. I love it. Edith, what about you?
It's easy to give up, but the joy of the reward that you got over this is much bigger. So just keep running.
I love that. Those are both great ones. I'm going to have to add those to the list. And I just want to thank both of you for one, taking the time in this busy week for you both, but also for all that you're doing to continue pushing the sport forward and to lifting others up, because that's what the sport is all about. And I think Monday is an incredible representation of that. You see spectators lifting up the runners, but runners lifting up each other. And that, I think, is one of the most remarkable things. And the way that you've empowered women to do that is phenomenal.
And Hannah, we want to thank you because you're sending the word out far and wide. And this is really important. So we absolutely treasure your support. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I mean, the more women we can get on the course, the more women that we can get running 1 mile. 1 mile. That's it. That's all it. You know, I always say running to your mailbox, that's a good start. And then
Yes,
you're like, oh, wait, I can
absolutely.
do this. This is kind of fun. Just never ask anyone like the day after a marathon if they want to run another one. Well, how can people support and follow along with 261 Fearless? Is there a website, social media? Where can they go?
Go on 261fearless.org. This is our website, and follow our social media handles at 261fearless on Instagram, on Facebook, as well as on LinkedIn. And also sign up for our newsletter. It's easy to do on our website so that you get the latest news. And yeah, watch out for the purple jackets and purple t-shirts. We are looking forward to see you all over race weekend in Boston.